10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2.
Yeehaw, man, what an epic fall nationals that was to close out the Stampede of Speed at the Texas Motorplex. I was there to take it in, but over there, Mr. Darren Williams Jr. was in Southern California at the famed Famoso drag strip to take in the last race of the year for the Heritage Series, and that in its own right was an epic race as well. And we're going to be talking about that epic drag racing right here on the CompetitionPlus.com Power Hour. Hit that like button, hit the share button, and join in on the conversation in the comment section with yours truly, Lee Kraft and Darren Williams Jr.
You finally got it right on the first try. Finally, Lee.
This is the second time, thank you.
Second time. Okay. But man.
Don't keep count.
Yeah, I'm going to keep count. Goodness. What a great weekend of drag racing we had this past weekend. I mean, from the Stampede of Speed, the NHRA Texas Fall Nationals, to the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals in Bakersfield, California, from iconic Famoso drag strip back over to iconic Texas Motorplex. I mean, if you're a drag racing fan, first off, for Dallas, right? Like Alan Reinhart always says, if this was your first time watching or being at a drag race and you didn't enjoy it, we got nothing for you, because that was an all-time great right there that we saw this past weekend. And man, that was like late 80s, early 90s. We were going to the Texas Motorplex, and we know we're about to set records and we're about to fly, and it's about to be a show. So that was a throwback to the old Texas Motorplex. Just shout out to Christy Meyer and the whole Meyer family and team for the event they put on this past weekend, because they put on a show. The guys and gals of the Lucas Oil Sportsman Series and the Camping World Series and all the other classes, they put on a show. So it was a perfect storm of great conditions all across the board. Like, man, that was an all-time great race.
Yes, for sure. All-time great race. And when I think a lot of it began building even Wednesday night at the Champions Dinner because of the forecast and it beginning to sink in that what we were going to get was autumn weather in Texas with that historic yet great surface at a great facility ran by a great team, along with the NHRA and what the National Hot Rod Association is able to produce for drag racing. And it went off better than expected, but it was expected. And we were able to see, like you have mentioned, something that I don't think we've seen at the Texas Motorplex in a while, throwing back to the late 80s and early 90s when it was such a pivotal race. And it still is, but it felt like it was even bigger. 2 world champions crowned with Julie Nataas, who we're going to have on the show later on, Doug Gordon, Top Alcohol Funny Car, and you have that happen again in Texas, which doesn't happen that often anymore in Texas. It just doesn't sit in that place on the schedule anymore. And there were championship implications in other classes as well. So it worked out. As I've been saying, champions will be crowned. Champions will be crowned. Champions will be crowned. I was right. Didn't expect it in alcohol nonetheless, but I was right.
I think people forget, back in the day when they went to the Texas Motorplex, they knew that all the racers knew that they were about to throw down, and we were going there to set records. Like it was a foregone conclusion. Like, hey, it's about to be big time here. And Dallas used to be the penultimate race of the year for quite a while back in the 90s. So it's a lot of history there. Somebody's calling me, my bad for the vibration, but man, just what a great event. And it kind of not sucks, because I was witnessing a great race in Bakersfield, California, but it just, I wasn't able to sit in front of the TV and watch it, from start to finish like I usually do, because I was out covering another race. But from what I saw, what I did get to see, man, like I'm gonna say it again, it was an all-time great race. It was best race of the year by far.
I agree wholeheartedly, and we
got records, we got explosions, we had crashes, we had side-by-side racing, cool weather. I mean, if you're a drag racing fan, you pretty much got everything you wanted in that race.
You did. You got everything across the board. There was not a single class that was a letdown the entire weekend. It was spectacular. Darren, I know we're going to continue to talk about the NHRA Fall Nationals, but that event has already had a ton of exposure. Obviously, a national broadcast, international broadcast, and I was doing the beat for Alcohol, and Competition Plus covered it, and Drag Illustrated. So many other outlets were covering it, and it has a ton of exposure. Let's talk about where you were there in Bakersfield and what went down with the championship implications, a legend retiring, and a growing legend continuing dominance out there amongst the fields and orchards of Southern California.
All right, before I do that, say the name of the event first. I want to see if you get it right.
Dang. You noticed I was trying to stay away from it, wasn't I?
I know. That's why I did that. That's why I did that. Yeah.
The Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals.
Bam. First try. That's it. That was it. Nah, man. What, again, from the Texas Motorplex iconic track like that to another iconic track that probably doesn't get a lot of love from Moso Drag Strip, like you said, in the middle of nowhere in Bakersfield, California. Actually, McFarland, California, which is, I guess, right next to Bakersfield. But where do you want to start? Fuel Altered, Funny Car, Top Fuel? Where do you want to start?
Man, I love me some Fuel Altered. As a matter of fact, I got Fuel Altered for life right now. Nitro Clown Motorsports wearing it. So tell me about them Fuel Altereds.
Fuel Altered always putting on a great show, and it wasn't that many out there. You know, a bigger crowd actually comes to the March meet, but our boy Dylan Wineski, he got the win in Fuel Altered, AA Fuel Altered in the Nitro Moose car, hot rod. So shout out to that guy. You know, young man, he's coming up through the ranks, one of the rising stars in the world of drag racing. Just shout out to him. But in Top Fuel Eliminator, there were so many storylines in that class, and it started right from the jump. From the first pass on Friday, the drama started, and that happened between your number 1 and 2 on the point standings coming in, Tyler Hilton, the points leader, and Jim Murphy, who's number 2 coming in, also racing in his final ever race. They raced off in the makeup of the March meeting in the first round, and basically, if Tyler Hilton won that round, he virtually locked up the championship for 2023, his second in a row. Well, he smokes the tires. Jim Murphy gets the win and keeps his championship hopes alive. And that happened in first round on Friday. We moved to Saturday, which the semifinals and the finals were ran during Q2 and Q3. A little controversy during the second round. So Jim Murphy took on Tyler Hester. I want to ask these guys this more, delve deep into it more on Kings of the Sport on Thursday. But from my vantage point, Tyler Hester did get the advantage off the starting line, and it looked like Murphy's car was eating itself up at the top end. So I thought Hester won. But there was a malfunction with the timing systems. A time did not come up on the scoreboard for Jim Murphy. And then there was no conclusive evidence to show that Tyler Hester did get to the finish line first. There was no, so, like I said, no decisive evidence to show that. So
what was Les doing? I mean,
I don't think so. I don't think so. Again, no, I know what you're saying. I don't think they watched his footage because, he's in, I guess, he's not officially part of the NHRA,
That's true. Yes. You don't want to use necessarily unofficial sources.
And I could be wrong. They probably did. I'm not sure. But when me and Les talked, it didn't sound like that they actually seen his footage either. So
yes.
It looks like
let me say this on trying to decide anything from footage, because we've had to do that with Funny Car Chaos, use my angle, Warren's angle, James's angle, and try to put all these angles together to make a decision. It's not fun, and it is not cool to do that. And there's a lot on the line when you are trying to put angles together and someone like barely nicked the wall. Did they do it before the line or after the line? That type of situation is tough.
Yeah. So I imagine, officials, track officials, NHRA officials just want to use footage which were affiliated with the NHRA. And so, like I said, they couldn't come to a decisive decision or conclusion. So they said, hey, we're going to do a rerun in the middle of the day. They did a rerun, and Jim Murphy, he got the win that time. Wasn't any question who got to the finish line first that time. And Jim Murphy cuts into the lead a little more. And then obviously everything is on the line in the final round because it's Jim Murphy taking on Pete Wittenberg. And, Pete Wittenberg, he's a 2-time March meet winner. He's going for March meet win number 3. And Jim Murphy, it's his final race. It's his final March meet. He wants to tie Big Daddy for the most March meet wins in Top Fuel. And so another great drag race. You talk about the sun setting in Bakersfield, shadows lengthening, 2 Top Fuel cars side by side to the finish line, header flames. They put on a show. Jim Murphy got to the finish line first. Obviously, he was the sentimental favorite, got the win, tied Big Daddy Don Garlis for 5 March meet wins. It was so cool to be able to be there and witness it and see it. So congratulations to Jim Murphy and that entire WW2 car. Got another win and, closed in on Tyler Hilton's points lead a little more. But before we get into that, just take a little breather first.
I was following along with your coverage on American Hot Rod Entertainment and noticing, wow, it is getting intense over there. And then even in the private chat we're in with several content creators, and you drop that, hey, Murphy's going on, the championship heating up. And it seemed like a lock for Hilton and that it was almost a done deal, but you had this one race, the March race, which Top Fuel did not run, did not compete on Monday, and that left enough points in the bank to be cashed out to somebody that could possibly create a tight championship racing scenario. So a lot was on the line, and there was certainly a lot to keep your eye on in Bakersfield.
No, for sure. And like you mentioned, so Tyler Hilton came in with an 82-point lead, not factoring in the March meet qualifying points. So he actually came in with an 89-point lead. And by the time he went out first round and Jim Murphy won the race, it was pushed down to 29. Well, then you factor in the qualifying points for the actual Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals. So Tyler Hilton actually qualified 2 positions ahead of Murphy. So it's a 31-point lead going into Sunday, just like NHRA Camping World Series, 20 points per round. So basically on Sunday, Jim Murphy needs to go 2 rounds further than Hilton to win the championship. First round, Hilton, Adam Sorokin. If you guys know who Adam Sorokin is, one of the best to ever jump behind the wheel of a front engine top fuel dragster, driver that Champion Speed Shop fueler.
Champion Speed Shop.
And
one of my favorites. I love that car.
Beautiful race car, right? Got the canopy, small block Chevy, like it's all black
like
and
gold. Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Adam Sorokin, he's known for his starting line prowess. Like he's known for leaving on people. And what did he do against Hilton? He left on him. he left on him. And I believe it was an 0-12 reaction time. I believe it was an 0-12, and actually deep staged on him too. Deep staged on Hilton, where I was standing in the grandstands at 330 feet. Adam Sorokin was ahead. From people I've talked to at the top end at 1,000 feet, Adam Sorokin was ahead. Tyler Hilton drove around Adam Sorokin at the top end. That big top end charge, 260 plus miles per hour. He drove around him at the top end and basically, saved his championship right there. That was a badass run by Tyler Hilton. Bobby Hilton had that thing tuned up. They got the round win, put the pressure back on Murphy. Murphy comes up round number 1 against Frank McBee Jr. I believe he was ahead up into the finish line, and then the motor just let go right before the line. Frank McBee Jr. drove around him, and the championship was over. Murphy lost, and Tyler Hilton was a back-to-back Top Fuel champion in the Heritage Series. Congratulations to the entire Great Expectations team. Amazing performance.
Congratulations to them. Yes, amazing performance. McKinney Chassis, number 1 in Top Fuel in the Heritage Series once again. But to the Murphy camp, nothing to be ashamed of. And what a spectacular career and all that he's been able to accomplish. I have not spoke to Murphy in person, but I know that going in and out of the Heritage Series pits, the little bit I have, he is always regarded with respect, renown, and is never taken lightly as a competitor.
No, for sure. And a super nice guy also, 82 years old. Anybody can go up to him and talk to him, have a conversation. If you guys don't know, Jim Murphy's been around for a long time, been racing funny cars since the 60s. Ed McCullough actually drove his funny car at the March meet one time. So technically, Jim Murphy does have 6 March meet wins. It's just that he was behind the wheel for 5 of them. Ed McCullough won his very first one, the 6th one back in the day. And man, like I said, Jim Murphy's been around for a long time, has won a bunch of front engine top fuel championships. Like you mentioned, 5 March meets, one of the best to ever do it, and one of the most respected. And it's gonna be sad to see him go. It was a real sunlight for the class for sure.
Well, man, I have to say, it seems in the Heritage Series, the banner class is funny car.
Oh, before we move on to funny car though, I got to give a shout out to my man, Pete Wittenberg, because he actually won the race on Sunday. He lost in the final round of the March meet on Saturday, but he won the race on Sunday. Pete Wittenberg, the KMA Racing. You know what KMA stands for? The Gnome. Remember the Gnome? Oh, yeah. Circuit Breaker, a legacy car. Pete Wittenberg from Anaheim, California. Shoot, that's not good. Wow. My anxiety just went up real big right now. my anxiety's off the roof. But anyway, we're talking drag racing. Who cares? For people don't know, my phone just fell, and I'm like anxiety's off the roof right now. But yeah, Pete Wittenberg getting the win in Top Fuel, first win ever at the season-ending race in Bakersfield. So congratulations to him. But and like you mentioned, in Nitro Funny Car, you may be thinking, "Oh my God, Bobby Cottrell won again." But here's the thing, though: Bobby Cottrell has not won the season Indy race in Bakersfield since 2019. That race has eluded him the past couple years. 2020, they ended the year in Tulsa, Oklahoma because of COVID and everything like that. 2021, he lost in the semis. He cracked the fuel tank on the burnout. Fast forward to 2022, he broke a rear end against Tony Gerardo in the semis the following year. So this was a big race for Cottrell. He wanted this really bad. He said, I interviewed him. He said, this race is like our Achilles heel. We want this one bad. And what did he do? He went out there and got it done. Back-to-back 566 in the first round. In the second round, laid down a 64 in the semifinals and capped it off with a 65 in the final round. Not to mention 0.29 reaction time in the final round. He got the win, finishes off the year strong. But the biggest story that comes out of that is not that race eluded him, is that he, dedicated that win to the great Walt Austin. And it was very fitting because Bobby Cottrell actually raced Drew Austin in the first round. And, Drew, it's the last race of the year. He won his first race there. I'm sure he wants to get the win for Walt Austin, who just passed. And They put on a great show. Drew actually left on Bobby, but Bobby had the performance. And Bobby told me that after the run that, Drew was pretty emotional and they came over and, that was a big deal. And so when Bobby won the race on Sunday, he dedicated the win to Walt and said that Walt actually helped him get that ride with Bucky Austin. So he actually said Walt and Pat were the two main reasons he's driving for Bucky Austin now. And he said whenever Bucky would be hard on him, Walt was always the one to stick up for him all the time. So just a very emotional win for that team, and congratulations to them, and they deserve it all.
Good. And I'm glad that story is being told, and there's more to it than that green machine just taking another win, and that it was that sentimental and it was that deep for them as a team and for the Austins, and that is tremendous to hear, and so glad that they were able to accomplish that. That's not the only drama in Funny Car, though. Apparently, the number one qualifier did not fare well, from what I understand, just as in Top Alcohol Dragster and Top Alcohol Funny Car.
Yeah, so Jerry Espeseth, also another Southern California guy, obviously, is under that Jason Rupert banner, driving Jason Rupert's old Nostalgia Funny Car in the Atlas Camaro. And run of the weekend, the only car to dip into the 550s was Jerry Espeseth. And we talked to him. He told me, he's like, drag racing is stupid. You're a hero 1 minute and you're a zero the next minute. And just unfortunately struggling in round number one. But the man who took him out in round number one was Jim Maroney. We all know top field driver Jim Maroney in that Speed Sport, Camaro now, not the Dodge Omni anymore. Jim Maroney took him out first round. And I talked to Jim. I was like, hey, you guys struggled in qualifying, but they cannot count you guys out. And he said, no, we struggled, but we make gains over the weekend. And they did that in first round. They stepped up and took out the number one qualifier, and it was huge.
Spectacular. Yeah. Great event out there for the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals at Famoso Drag Strip, just north of Bakersfield, California.
Is it north?
I believe it is.
I don't know.
I'm just glad I made it out of there alive from the March meet driving south.
Yeah, man, it was. Hey, I'll tell you what, it gets dark when you leave that place. No lights.
There's no lights.
There's no lights. Like it's pretty sketchy. And I had to do it by myself this time. It's cool. I'm like, hey, whatever happens, happens.
Whatever happens,
I end up in the bitch.
I hear you. Well, from your vantage point there in Bakersfield, in the affectionately known bungalow where CompetitionPlus.com stakes out, what were the highlight moments from the NHRA Fall Nationals?
I'll tell you what. So, we joked on here last week about how, there's no Wi-Fi in Bakersfield. It's tough to get reception out there. It's in the middle of nowhere and everything like that. Well, somehow I got internet. I don't know how. Me and a few other photographers, we're in the bungalow working, and I just happened to turn on NHRA.tv, and we caught the semis and the finals. And you knew the intensity and how big the moment was, I'm sure, at the racetrack. Well, we felt that same intensity just from watching in the bungalow. And when John Force smoked the tires, well, first off, when he blew up in the semi, he blew that thing up. First he outpedals J.R. Todd, right? J.R. Todd posted on Instagram, I lost to the best one to ever know how to pedal a race car. Well, then he smokes the tires in the final. And when I tell you there was an audible gasp in the bungalow, like we all want to see John Force get his first win of the year. That was a big deal. And so it was unfortunate, but for Matt Hagan, to get that win, back-to-back wins, he's your points leader by 2 rounds going to Las Vegas. It's still a battle, but congratulations to that whole Tony Stewart Racing team. But the reason why I bring that up is Tony Stewart Racing double up. We've seen Perdome do double ups. We've seen John Force Racing do double ups. We've seen obviously Schumacher do double ups. The Budweiser boys, Gwen and Bernstein back in the day do double ups. But for Tony Stewart Racing to add their names to the list of Nitro groups to do double ups, I thought that was pretty huge. And congratulations to Leah Pruitt. She's your points leader now in Top Fuel Eliminator. You got to respect it. You got to respect it. She we always talked about, Justin Ashley all year long and Steve Torrance all year long. And then Coletta kicking off the countdown back-to-back wins. But Leah Pruitt, she's been top 5 in points all year long. And now she's our points leader and she's legit with 2 to go. Let's see how it all plays out. But to answer your question again, another moment, Gage Herrera, 662, quickest run ever. I mean, just destroyed him in qualifying. That was badass, man. And for all his runs all his runs and eliminations were below the national record coming in. I mean, that's just amazing performance. I mean, I can go on and on and on. So I'm gonna just shut up right now because I know I'm babbling, but it was just it's too many to talk about. Like, it was amazing.
It certainly was amazing. Everything that went down. And I tell you what, we have talked about it on Inside NHRA with Dave Wazlowski, and there has been coverage of me with the alcohol classes. How about we take some comments and deal with those from the Fall Nationals that we've got in the comment section at the moment?
Yeah, and, Dave W. first comment out. Well, first one I want to bring up, he says, we never touched on it, but how about Alex Laughlin's comments on JR? So I know there was something that he said. What exactly did he say? Because,
Well, Alex Laughlin, after his round 1 win, made the statement something to the effect of, we picked up a round win. We're doing better. We have been struggling this year. We've been dropping holes all year like JR has been dropping fans. Dang. I kind of thought it was over. We had Alex on, JR was on, and maybe, it was moving on. It was okay, but apparently not.
I'm going to just say, that's amazing, first off. That's amazing. But I am still a J.R. Todd fan. I've always been a J.R. Todd fan, so I'm going to just say that. But, wow, really? Well, okay. I like Alex Laughlin stirring the pot. I dig it.
Yeah. Wow. I mean,
so who interviewed him when he said that?
I do not recall who interviewed him. I don't believe it was a Fox broadcast interview. I think it was Jason Galvin with NHRA.TV.
The reason why I asked is, what was his reaction when he said it?
I do not recall.
Because I probably would have started laughing if I was interviewing him.
I was in the media center. My head was down working on an alcohol video to get it out as a recap, and tuned out yet in, and then it's like, yeah, JR dropping fans like JR. Wow.
Yeah. I dig it. I like a little stir in the pot. Why not?
Right. What did you mention that JR said?
What do you mean?
Beating force? You said something on Instagram.
Oh, when on social media, JR Todd posted, he just posted that, hey, nice outing, semifinals. I basically just got out-pedaled by the best to ever do it. That's all he said.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
So Dave W. mentioned that. We also got Andrew, regular commenter and viewer. Thank you for watching, man. Says, not trying to be disrespectful here. Does NHRA do anything about Dale Creasy? It's now 2 times he put others in danger. Now, if I recall correctly, the other time that is very apparent was not this year. It was last year at Norwalk. Is that correct?
With Ron Capps, yeah.
Yes, so that was last year with Ron Capps, not an incident. I think, no, the NHRA doesn't do anything. If they're not going to do anything with force, then why do you establish a precedent with another driver? Also, when you look at the data, and I talked to Dale Creasy, Peanut, look, the incident began to occur about the 270 mark. When the hole dropped, he was off the throttle at 280. In a funny car doing well over 200 miles per hour at 300 miles per hour, at that point, you're off the throttle within 10 feet. That's remarkable for any person any age.
And so, like I said, like Andrew said, I don't want to be disrespectful. And the reason why I don't is because, from you to anybody other guests we have on the show, I'm like the only non-racer on here. So I can't really speak to being behind the wheel, right? So, and these guys can do it 10 times better than I can ever do it. So, and like you mentioned, as fast as he was going, I doubt, you can, there was no stopping what was going on, right? And it's unfortunate for Dave Richards, obviously, small team, not a lot of funding. And, to see him choked up was really really kind of emotional, for me to watch that, because he said it was a scary incident. He tags Del Creasy, and then obviously I guess the throttle got stuck open, and he hits the wall on the other side, and man, just a real bad deal. Tough for both teams, and like I mentioned, I'm not going to crucify the guy. Like, like I said, he could drive a nitro funny car 1,000 times better than I can. I don't know what it's like being behind the wheel. So, and like you mentioned, going that fast, there ain't no stopping it. But you don't want to see nobody get hurt. So that's all I got to say on it.
Right. Look, it has happened to the best of them. Yeah. If anything in this incident, I think the Texas Motorplex actually needs to look at shading the starting line at a particular time. Because if you look at qualifying, there were many staggered starts. And I overheard from Buddy Hull and other drivers, there were decisions made. I am not going to leave until the other car leaves, so I know that I can then leave, get my time, because I can't see when the tree activates in a particular lane. And imagine if Creasy and Dave leave at the same time, we're probably not talking about a collision, just as it happens most of the time in drag racing. And in drag racing, right? Oftentimes, what happens with the worst incidents is when someone leaves first and someone is trying to catch. Yes. Think about right there at the Texas Motorplex, Koretsky and
Bruce Allen. Yeah, Bruce Allen. Yeah. And like you mentioned, it was kind of like a perfect storm. Every time we see in these situations, the guy's already out ahead and then he's wrecking, but the other guy's like smoking the tires or trying to get back on it. So it just, just all kind of came together. And like you mentioned, I'm not a racer. You are, right? So correct me if I'm wrong. Old and washed up now. It has been.
I am old and washed up. I am.
It has been. It's okay. It's okay. But obviously your number one goal is to win the drag race, right? Or whatever you're doing, but it's also to keep your competitor in the other lane safe. Am I correct?
Yes. And there certainly is amongst, drivers, hey, you got to keep it in your lane and you got to keep your car under control, and you do want to keep your other competitors safe. And, you hear things in the pits. I can think of one funny car driver had some incidents, several incidents this year, and the nickname being thrown around was Pinball. You don't want to get that reputation. Granted, as challenging as they are to drive, yet this particular individual has matured in their driving, and I've seen that from 8th mile to full quarter-mile passes. So yeah, it can have you want to keep it in your lane. Stay in your lane, bro. Stay in your lane.
I'm going to tell you what, I'm not going to name no names, but in Bakersfield, there was a few former Big Show Nitro funny car drivers that were not happy with Creasy. I'm going to just say that.
Hey,
that's all I'm going to say.
It happens.
It happens. That's all I'm going to say.
What's happening on the show tonight? First guest up, we're going to have Julie Nataas, the 2023 Top Alcohol Dragster World Champion, who nabbed just about everything that you can nab, including the cowboy hat from the Texas Motorplex this past weekend. And then Elon Werner, he's going to check in with us. We're going to talk about the great Stampede of Speed that the Texas Motorplex was able to host, and also the brackets and how that is moving along with his program and the great work that he is doing there. Now, look, eventually I'm going to have Julie on my show at some point, and I'm going to let you lead this interview coming up with Julie. She's probably tired of hearing me anyway throughout the year and asking for interviews. So we're going to let you handle it, Darren, and get some alcohol action in.
Leah, you know what we called that this past weekend?
I have no clue.
That was an old-fashioned ass kicking, man. That was an old-fashioned ass kicking. Jegs All-Stars, win the race, win the championship. You can't ask for a better weekend, right?
No, you can't. You can't.
Wow,
for sure.
Hey, you know what I want to ask her though?
What do you want to
about that ride in Charlotte, that 512? I want to ask her about that ride, because that was a hell of a ride too.
Where you going to get to right after the break?
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S. Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away. competition products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
And all hail the champion, Jegs All-Star, and winner of the Fall Nationals at the Texas Motorplex. Probably going to be knighted by the Norwegian government before long, Julie Nataas.
Hello. Thanks for having me on the show, guys.
Well, Julie, first off, like I said, congratulations. A heck of a weekend. Jegs All-Stars. You won the race. You won the championship. Like I just mentioned, I called it an ass kicking. Do you ever just after that, you just sit back and be like, man, I'm a badass for that?
It still doesn't really feel real. It still hasn't really sunk in. Like what we did this past weekend, just not only winning the championship, but also doing that three-peat it's unreal.
And oh damn, Lee left. You really left me by myself. Well, let's do it. We got it. And correct me if I'm wrong.
Wasn't lying. I mean,
hey, I got it, man. I got it.
I know you got it. Take it.
Yeah. Well, leave then. Why are you still here?
Boy, it's my show. Okay.
We got a show to run, Lee. Let's go. Sorry about that, Julie. Sorry. Let's get back on track now. So, correct if I'm wrong. So you won the championship, but before that semifinal round, you didn't even know you had a chance to even clinch the world championship. You were sitting in the car, just ready to make another run, and you obviously hear over the PA like, "Hey, Julie has a chance to clinch it all right here." Just talk about the range of emotion, sitting in the car and just knowing like, "Hey, this is it right here, semifinals at the Texas Motorplex, championship on the line."
Right. So I honestly had no clue whenever I put on my fire suit and got into the race car. I had no clue. And then I heard over the speaker, I think it was Alan Reinhardt saying something like, "Oh, the championship can't be decided here today." And I kind of went like, I can't hear anything. I can't hear what he's saying. And then I forgot about it, but I tried not to think about it. And Christine had her little accident, like pretty much right in front, just a couple cars in front of me. And I started thinking about the points and who's behind me. Then I realized that Tony's out and he doesn't really have a chance to catch me. And then I was like, wait, I'm racing Cowie and I'm not sure how many points behind me he is or how much he has to claim, but I'm pretty sure that this might be it. If Alan Reinhardt also said that on the speaker, but it was also not 100% what he said. So I started shaking immediately in the car when I realized myself and I did the math. I was like, literally like, shit, this is it. Like, this is it. So it was weird.
Yeah, I can only imagine you're sitting on the starting line and you figure out, hey, there's a world championship. I can clinch it right here. I'm sure the range of emotions, the anxiety had to be huge. But once you go down there, that 1320, you get the one light, your one light comes on, and you are the world champion. How much were you celebrating in the car? I don't know what that celebration was like. Were you screaming at all?
Well, I didn't see the one light.
Okay,
so
gotcha.
I wasn't sure until I saw the safety safari guys applauding me. And then I still wasn't sure if I had clinched a championship. So I was just kind of like looking around, like waiting. And I just started shaking more because I was like, now this might be it. And I see Amanda on the stage with the world championship trophy and everyone literally like clapping. So I started crying and got out of the car, and I had been shaking because I was so nervous already, like in my legs. Like I'm not nervous like that ever, but this time it was different. So I got out of the car and my legs were just shaking so much that I had to sit down. It was weird, but fun.
Well, congratulations. I mean, that was a badass performance. I got to ask you, you not only, like I said, you not only won the Jegs All-Stars, you not only won the Fall Nationals, you not only won the championship, but the road to the race win, you had to take down a world champion in Joey Severance. You had to take down Sean Cowie to clinch it. I mean, does that make it all the more gratifying that you had to take out some of the biggest names in the class to do it?
Oh, absolutely. And I remember one of the first times I ever raced Joey Severance. I remember telling him and his family that one day I'm going to beat them. I'm going to beat the world champions and be one myself. So the fact that we got to do that during this elimination in Texas, it was really cool from like my side and from how much I respect him and his family as world champions. So it was cool. And then also, of course, meeting Cowie, who was always competing like in the top for a championship every year. So that was cool.
So we mentioned Joey Severance, we mentioned Sean Cowley. Another guy that was in that championship mix this year was motorsports legend, three-time NASCAR Cup champion, I believe, Tony Stewart. And obviously, you guys were going back and forth, changing hands, the points lead changing hands a lot this season. I want to go back to Charlotte just a little bit. When he was DQ'd, did you feel like that was kind of like the turning point for your team? And the reason why I say that is because, yeah, he was disqualified, but you still had to go on to win the race to get the points lead back. Would you feel like that was the big turning point in your championship this year?
Not necessarily. I mean, of course, I'm sure that helped me out in the championship. We might not have clinched the championship in Texas, but I believe in my team, and I believe that we still would have gone around him and eventually either in Vegas or Pomona gotten that championship. So I think it was just a matter of when and where instead of how that was a turning point, if that makes sense. And I have to say that I've loved going back and forth, like chasing those points between me and Tony. Like, it's been awesome competing against him. He's a cool guy together with his crew. So it was unfortunate to see that in Charlotte. It was.
And like you mentioned, it's every athlete's dream is, especially for a drag racer, is battling out for a championship, points league, going back and forth between you and another driver. It's the moments you live for, it's the moments you dream for. Me being an athlete is like, you always love being in those big moments, performing in front of people and being on the big stage. So, I definitely know you enjoyed that. Definitely. But I got to ask you, like I mentioned before we bring you on, that 512 in Charlotte, that was a heck of a run. Like I said, did it shove you back in the seat, that run? How fun was that right there on Friday night at the Bellagio drag strips?
Honestly, the quickest and fastest runs we have are honestly the ones that feels like the slowest.
For real.
Because there's so little things that are happening in the race car, if that makes sense. Like, it's so smooth. It's usually just so straight and smooth that it feels slow, if that makes sense. Sometimes we will have like some, not tire shakes, but some rattling where we're not going straight or we're going out of the groove. And, those are the slower runs, but they feel fast because something is actually like happening inside the race car and you actually have to like react as a driver compared to those smooth, quick, fast runs like that 512. So, yeah, but it was definitely really, really cool. It's always cool to come out of the car and seeing that we went that quick and fast. It just proves that my team they're awesome. They really, really are. And we work so well together. So I'm just so proud of everyone that works in my car and my whole team for that.
Yeah, your team is awesome. The whole Randy Meyer Racing team. You're a great driver, and like I said, what a great season it was. You won the Gator Nationals. You won the Baby Gators, I believe. Also, am I correct? You won the Baby Gators too, right? This year, yeah, back-to-back years winning that. Other multiple wins throughout the year, and like I said, it's an amazing season, right? I think the only thing you would want to have back this year, you can correct me if I'm wrong, is that U.S. Nationals final, right? That's like the only thing you want to have back, right? That would have been made this season just spectacular, I would say.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. If we could have gotten that win, and the fact that it was a driver error on top of it, like, honestly, I'd already forgotten about it until you mentioned it now, because it's something you forget about, or you have to forget about those things. But for sure, our U.S. Nationals win would have been great this year.
Mm-hmm. No, for sure. Like you mentioned, like with any athlete, you got to have a short-term memory. You have to put that behind you. So I definitely understand that. With any championship season, I like to ask people, obviously, what was that, that highlight point of the year, that point that stuck out to you? And obviously we can say Dallas with everything that went on, the three-peat, but is there any other time throughout the year that was kind of like, hey, that was a highlight to you, that was very special to me here in 2023?
Oh, wow. I thought, like, besides from this past weekend, maybe our double up in Gainesville, I would say was probably like, it was really cool to start out the season with 2 like back-to-back wins. I won Gainesville before, but I've never double up there. So that was really cool. I have to say that the funny car, I know it's not part of the championship, but driving the funny car on our time off has been exciting and a highlight for me this season. Like, other than Dallas this past weekend. It's hard to top that one or find something that even compares to it.
Well, I mean, I know it's not part of NHRA, but let's talk about it. Obviously, for people who don't know, you drove the funny car, Randy Meyer Racing's funny car at the Texas Motorplex for the Funny Car Classic earlier this year, I believe back in March, and was a pretty cool event. I think you went to the semis and qualified real well, and the ejected nitro funny car. Just, talk about how fun that was, and, getting to race in the Funny Car Chaos Classic and race against those boys.
Oh yeah, I love the A-Fuel funny car. It's a project for me as a driver, like a learning curve. For my crew guys, for Randy, it's all new to us, and we're just having fun with it, and we've had fun with this up until we decided to park it. But it's so exciting. It's so much fun. Like, just getting to learn more as a driver and get more experience, and just seeing how Randy gets into his like thinking box trying to figure this out is awesome.
What was the transition like going from, obviously the A-Field dragster to the A-Field funny car? I heard through the grapevine, Monday Morning Racer, he was saying that, first off, a lot of people were kind of doubting you and doubting that you could drive the car. And so to go out and prove that you could do it, and also just the sheer tire shake that happens in a nitro funny car, he was telling me that you had to take a lot of headache medicine just to kind of combat that. Is that true?
Yeah, last year, because we brought the funny car out for the first time last year, and we never got it down the racetrack. And it's the first time in my career that I've actually had people come up to me and tell me or ask me why I'm doing this and that I can't do it. And I'm a girl, I drive dragsters. Funny cars are not for me, again, because I'm a girl and I've only driven dragsters. So that was shocking, but also even more motivating for me to show everyone and prove to everyone that we could do this. I think even for Randy when he heard that, because he could hear people come up to me and say those things, and he took me to the side once and he was like, I hope this really is just motivating you, and I hope you don't get sad or don't take it to your heart. And I was like, nope, let's go get this thing down the racetrack. I know we can do it. And then yes, tire shakes. Once we started getting the car to leave the starting line and not go up in smoke, we had a lot of tire shakes. And tire shakes sitting right on top of those tires, it's terrible. I had so much headaches, and my Advil was in my pocket at all times, pretty much. So, yeah.
Yeah, I've heard plenty of stories from Ron Capps and from Don Perdome saying, yeah, tire shaking a funny car, it's not fun at all. You lose your vision, your head is rocking all everywhere. It's not a fun deal whatsoever. Not at all. No. And plus, I can't drive.
Absolutely.
And, kudos to you, because I'm claustrophobic. I can't jump in a funny car. I couldn't be able to do it. So for people who are funny car drivers, shout out to you, because I ain't doing it. I'll probably drive a dragster just, because I'm claustrophobic.
I mean, it's not for everyone. I can understand that. Yeah.
And I've run this up a couple of times so far, and that's just, the mentality of an athlete. And obviously drag racers are athletes. You mentioned, wanting to prove people wrong, and, obviously people saying you couldn't do it because you're a girl. Where does that kind of, that mentality come from of wanting to prove people wrong and being able to block stuff out and get the job done we need to? Where does that come from? Where'd you learn that from? It's just you. It
might just be me, maybe from my dad. Like I said, I've never really had people come up to me and tell me that I can't do anything before. Not like driving a race car, because most people that know me and have watched my career knows how many different type of race cars I have driven. And when I first started racing, people were more like, oh, this is Thomas Nataas' daughter. She's going to be like just like him. Like, there's not going to be a problem that she's going to be like the greatest drag racers and all that. So this is like the first time I ever hear that. And maybe it's because I've always had people believe in me that I am motivated and know that I can do it or have that mindset. Like, I don't know. I think it's just me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, I definitely understand. And I love that mentality. It's that, that Mamba mentality. I don't know if you're a basketball fan at all, but I am. And, it's that the mentality that you could do anything. If you work hard, you can accomplish it. And so I definitely love that right there. Let's move back now to the NHRA side of things. And, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I've heard through the grapevines that, you're obviously, everybody is, but, definitely for you, you're looking, to do other things pretty much soon and probably step up and maybe not even drive top alcohol full time next year. That's just what I've heard. Like I say, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but, with that, did that make it more of a point of emphasis to get that world championship before you moved on and did other things? Like I said, you've won the JEGS All-Stars, you've won the U.S. Nationals, you've done it all. Was that point of emphasis to get that world championship and cross that off the list before you moved on and did something else?
For sure. A championship before I move up has always been something that I wanted. So now that we have that under the belt, that's great. Like, I can move up. I know I said in the beginning of the season that I hope that this is my last year. I haven't ever said that it's going to be my last year, which I hear a lot of people and announcers say that, oh, this is Julie's last year in top alcohol. And I'm just like, I kind of said it that I hope it is, because I don't have a race car top fuel car for next year yet. Like, of course, I wish. I think there's a lot of people that dream and think they want to do that pretty soon. But the reality is the money, the sponsorship money. And right now I am still missing some sponsorship money to go do that. So we'll see if I'll go defend my championship next year or if I'll move up.
And we have the perfect question right here. Andrew wants to ask. He says, ask Julie about the plans for next year, maybe racing in the future. So nothing in the works right now. Well, the stuff is in the works, but nothing solid as of right now as we move into 2024. But definitely always looking forward to move up in the near future. I want to ask you now. I want to ask you now about your team owner, Randy Meyer, a legend in the sport of drag racing, especially top alcohol racing. He raced Top Fuel back in the day. Just talk about how much Randy Meyer has meant to your career and just everything he's instilled in you over the past couple of years, and help you get toward winning a championship here in 2023.
Yeah, when I first met him, he had no clue who I was. We actually met in Sweden at the racetrack. I was racing my Supercom dragster. He was over there with Johnny Lindberg, and pretty much Randy just trusted Johnny. Whenever I wanted to get my license, he trusted him, saying that I was a good driver and that Randy could trust me. And a couple months later, he let me drive his race car and get my license, not knowing what to expect. So I think that was new for him. But he ended up being happy with me and let me drive 4 more races that year. I think this was in 2017. So he let me do a couple more races just to see if I was actually good or, if he could trust me even more. And he was happy with me. So he let me do my first half season, like not full time because I was still in school. So, he's always been on my side and trusted me and the people around me that I'll do good. And he's guided me and taught me so much about top alcohol that I didn't know about before. Even working on these cars, like he's a great human.
Now, I heard an interview with Randy one time. I believe it was with Bobby Bennett. We're doing the Notebook, I believe in Charlotte. And he said he can tell how bad or how good a race car driver is going to be just from meeting him in the first interaction. Like he knows if this kid's going to be special or not. So obviously he definitely saw something within you within the first meeting or something, because for like I said, he's been around us for a long time. So he can spot out talent from a second, I would think.
Yeah, I've seen that over the last couple of years because we have drivers coming in getting their license, and he's even added me to one of his teachers. The drivers can come up to me and ask me questions and I'll teach them. And I can tell when Randy's just like, nope, this is not it. We're not going to let this person drive. And I'm like, okay, sure. You got it.
Can you notice that now?
Disagree after. Huh?
Do you notice that now with other drivers now? For you being in the sport for quite a years now, you can see it?
Yes, I can. I'm also because I am part of the conversation. Whenever we have other people in our cars, oh, what do you think about this person? Or how can we teach them to do this? Or sometimes I'm even a guide to the driver, or like Randy, he jokes, he's like, you're going to be their teacher. And I'm like, haha, cool, sure. So yeah, we have a lot of conversations about that, which is, it's cool that he trusts me and those things too.
So, let's get into it. From Julie Nataas' perspective, how do you know a driver has the it factor? What is it about them? As you being a teacher, when have you noticed, hey, this person has it and then this person doesn't? What are those little things that stand out to you?
It's not necessarily if they has it or not. It's their understanding of a race car and going down the track. And sometimes you can just have a conversation with a person about the race car or about going down the racetrack, whether or not they understand it. It's as simple as that.
Okay.
Yeah.
So for somebody like me, I'm not a real journalist. I'm a fan playing journalist. I'm just on here, so for somebody who's never driven before, what I got to do to jump behind a wheel with top alcohol dragster? What I got to do? Give me some pointers.
We would probably tell you that you have to go jump in a Supercom car first.
I got you.
And go get some runs with Frank Hollies. Go get some runs under your belt before you even come back to the Random High Racing pit.
Ain't no jumping straight into a top alcohol dragster, huh? No way.
Maybe there's a chance, but that's probably what we would say. Yeah.
I got you. Hey, no shame. You mentioned school. I'm from Los Angeles, Inglewood, California, and you went to UCSB, correct?
No, I went to Santa Barbara City College for a year,
Okay.
and then I went to Antioch University
Okay.
in Santa Barbara. So not UCSB, no.
All right, let's just have a little fun now. Just be honest. How much fun did you have in Santa Barbara? Come on. I mean,
Oh, I love Santa Barbara. I would move back in a heartbeat. But it makes it a little bit hard to live there and be a race car driver. So I guess I'm in Indy now.
I got you. And you made your move to Indy, correct? Obviously, you got to be around, what you want to do.
Yep.
Makes sense. Well, now, like I said, just a amazing season, and obviously there's I know you're a student of the sport and you watch the sport and not just top alcohol. There's big time battles in Dragster and Funny Car right now. Give me your championship picks so far with 2 races left to go. Who you going with? Who you riding with?
Well, so much changed over the past weekend, didn't it? I haven't even looked at the new points. I guess Leah is now leading the points, right?
Yeah, she's leading. Yeah,
and Doug is right behind. I'm kind of rooting for Doug. He's never had a championship before, and I would just really like to see him get a championship. And Funny Car, I'm not sure. Is it Robert Hyde up there? I like Robert Hyde.
Hagen's in number 1 right now.
Right, but I think Robert Hyde can still win it, right?
Yeah, he's still in there. Yeah, he's not far back. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't know. It's just.
Yeah. I mean, it got to be fun for you because, hey, you have the world championship. It's locked up. You can go to Vegas and Pomona and pretty much just have fun. Like, no pressure. I just go out there and win rounds and win races. I mean, I would think.
Yeah, it's kind of weird. There's no pressure anymore. Like, there's been all this pressure, I feel, all season long, or especially now the last couple months. And now all of a sudden it's all locked up. It's weird. But,
how'd you celebrate on Sunday night after winning the championship? How'd you celebrate? What'd you guys do?
Sunday night, we actually didn't do much. We were in the winner's circle for a while, and then we left the track, and me and all the crew guys went and had dinner at one of the only places that were open, which was Buffalo Wild Wing. And then we all drove to the airport, stayed in a hotel because we all canceled our flights, and then we flew out the next morning. So we're going to have to celebrate later on.
Celebrate in Vegas, right? I mean, that's the right place to do it.
Yeah.
Go to Dre's. Go to Dre's in Vegas,
Dre's?
Yeah, go to Dre's in Vegas. We're not supposed to be talking about Dre's on a drag racing show. That just doesn't mix. Probably got to move on. Yeah, probably. Yeah, that wasn't good.
That's all right.
Hey, it's a family show. I'm trying to keep it PG. Like you mentioned, fantastic season, first world championship, 2023 top alcohol dragster world champion, many race wins. You did a 3-peat in Dallas, won the Jags All-Stars, won the race, won the championship. Just, final question, not even a question, just kind of sum up this whole season, in its entirety, just what it meant to you.
Oh, wow. I mean, as everything I guess I've ever worked for, both me and my dad, I guess that sums it up. Like, it's all I've ever worked for. It's everything that we worked for so long since I was a kid. And the fact that my dad, he's been here almost every single weekend for all the races, which has been pretty cool. Like, even in Dallas, he was not supposed to come, and then last minute he decided to be there. So I'm glad for that. Mm-hmm. I'm glad he did that. So yeah.
That's awesome. That's really special. And I was I'm a drag racing nerd, right? I've been going to drag racing since I was a little kid, going to Pomona since the 90s, and just going with my dad and everything like that. And it's kind of a funny story. So not even a story, but Bob Fry, legendary announcer, 2 names I always loved. 3 things. So one thing that Bob Fry always said was top fuel eliminator. I love when he said that, right? But the other thing was Urs Erbacher, when he said Urs Erbacher's name, and then Thomas Nataas. He used to say Thomas Nataas. That's how he used to pronounce it. Now I used to love when he came to the line. So like I said, yeah, I know your dad's obviously a legend, in drag racing over there in Europe, and obviously competitive here in the States. So I saw Lee's video on Facebook with the interview with you and your dad. So I know that was a pretty special deal. So congratulations, Julie, and much success to you in the future. That was pretty awesome.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you. All right, you come back on, Lee.
All right, I'll come back on. Julie, you have a good night.
All right, good night. Thanks for having me.
How was that, man?
Oh, I think it was great. No, it was good. Very informative. And, Julie is going to answer your questions. She's going to answer it as thoroughly as possible. And if she doesn't understand your question, she'll let you know too. And you're like, oh, dang, I need to be more clear. But I also want to say this. So far, at least, the media has mined their P's and Q's. And I have not seen anything with like Stewart loses, Nataas wins. It has been Julie Nataas has won the championship, and I'm glad that has been the case. There's been so much spotlight on Top Alcohol Dragster this year because of Stewart, and deservedly so. Do not misunderstand me, because he is a motorsports legend, and it's going to be interesting to get him on this show or my show, whatever show, and talk to him about his journey as a drag racing rookie.
Yeah,
I was able to hear I was able to actually hear from Leah in the media center after her win with some questions that were asked pertaining to her and Tony's relationship. One of them was phrased, hey, a double up like this today, do you think that helps soothe Tony in some way? Because Tony was distraught, maybe distraught's too much. But he knows, he even stated, as it was relayed from Amanda Busey from the top end, that I threw it away with that second round loss to Angel. So he realized where things were. He realized the opportunity that had slipped out of his hands. And Leah mentioned that drag racing, for someone who has accomplished so much on dirt, whether it is late models or sprint cars, quarter midgets, has accomplished so much in IndyCar, has accomplished so much in NASCAR and stock car racing, and has driven sports cars and beyond, even hopped behind the wheel of an F1 car with a driver swap with oh, dang it. Man, there went that. I am getting old and worn out. But he mentioned and said that, and through Leah, that this has been one of the most challenging parts of his driving career ever, because in drag racing, it is by nature sudden death on anything. You have only one real effective shot at a burnout. You might be able to back up and do a second one if you muff it, but most of the time, by you get up into the higher powered machines, you don't have that opportunity. You only have one shot to stage, one shot at a tree, one shot to pedal most of the time, one shot to do it right. And you need to do that 4 times on race day. There's not another lap. There's not another corner. There's not a let me cool my tires off and take another shot at it. And she relayed that was something that he felt, and that he felt the weight of a championship battle on him again, probably unlike he had in a long, long time.
Yeah, and like you mentioned in NASCAR, you go a lap down, you can get your lap back. There's always a chance to come back, like you mentioned. And for Tony Stewart, who has won in so many different disciplines and had so much success throughout his career, like you mentioned, he's not just a NASCAR legend, he's a motorsports legend, and you don't become that without trying hard. And so you knew from the jump, like when Tony Stewart said, I'm going full-time Top Alcohol Racing, he was taking it seriously, and he did that. And I can only expect that, when you come up short and you lose, like it has to be pretty disheartening. So, I'm happy it is for him, not happy for him, but it's kind of cool because that makes him just that much more hungrier coming into next season. So let's see how dangerous a hungry Tony Stewart is in 2024.
Yeah. And that, there was huge letdown. I bumped into Rich McPhillips Jr. at the convenience store the very next day, and you could tell they were still bummed about it. They tested very well, had the car well into the teens in testing, and they just had little gremlins. But I want to say this, Tony has proven, yes, he's a drag racer, certainly a capable driver, and you can see that in round one. In round one, he's up against Jackie Frick. Jackie Frick is one of the best in Top Alcohol Dragster, a perennial championship contender. And in the conditions that were round one at the Texas Motorplex, they were a razor-thin edge of you are going to go low ET for your career, or you are going to have to drive that thing. And for Tony, he had to drive it. He whacked that pedal, and he got it hooked back up and still went a 540 something.
548.
So badass.
Yeah.
Stewart can certainly drive no matter what it is.
And like Jason Galvin said over the PA when he whacked that throttle, when he backpedaled right there, he was like going back to his old dirt days, whacking that throttle. So it was it was a pretty cool deal right there. And you got to respect him.
Yes.
Got to respect him.
Yes. Cannot wait to hear more of his story through this year on just the driving side, but then also the ownership side. This year for Tony Stewart Racing, both cars are in championship contending, one leading, Matt and Leah leading the points, stepping away, correct?
Yeah, Matt and Lee are both your points leaders.
So,
Vegas,
phenomenal for him across the board. And, though he doesn't win the championship, there are national events to his credit. There are regional races to his credit. He had a successful year and still has an opportunity to go out and win a couple more races. I certainly expect him to be at Las Vegas and Pomona in national event contention. It was good. It's been good. It's been good in alcohol. And I want to mention Andrew's comment before we do move on to Mr. Elon Werner. We've got him in the green room. Andrew says Christine Foster's wheelie was impressive and looked like it hurt. Christine Foster probably stole the highlights, especially in alcohol, with the moonshot for Funny Car. The wheelie bar broke impressively, and it just stood straight up. Body comes off. Can you believe that body was hardly damaged? Man, 5-star bodies makes an impressive body. I got to say that. And she rolled down, got it to a stop, and hops out, puts the arms up, and is like, yep, I'm on the track. Nobody, what's going on? But Christine's very cool, and that was a fascinating moment for the entirety of the weekend. And to answer Andrew, she didn't mention that it hurt. I imagine just the adrenaline, the shock of, oh, I see the sky instead of scoreboards and the end of the track, that she probably didn't even notice much.
That Christine Foster crash was like a Jim Epler Houston 1997 when he went flying through the air. The body comes off. He like Bob Fry goes up and away. He says Houston. We have liftoff. Right. We have liftoff. Watch it on Drag Racing 97. It's so funny. Like Jim Epler, like it was crazy. It looked just like Christine Foster's crash. But the coolest thing any drag racer can do when they crash is to get out and put their hands up. It's the coolest thing.
Oh yeah, you had to do it. Don Garlitz did it. Raymond Beadle did it. It is the drag racer. I am okay and a badass, and I went through this. Probably should be dead, but I'm alive. Yeah. Signal. But everybody, go watch Drag Racing 97 and watch Houston fall. You'll see Jim Epler flying through the air. It's crazy. It's cool. All right, let's fly through this next commercial break and get Mr. Werner on. Let's do it.
If you want to take your vehicle's performance to new heights, you got to give it P. Like our original equipment technology, antifreeze, and coolant. Our formulas match the vehicle manufacturer's technology requirements so that we have the perfect match for every vehicle. That's one reason why Peak is among the fastest growing brands of coolant in America. We work harder to earn the trust of people like you every day.
Elon Werner, welcome once again to the Competition Plus Power Hour, and thank you for taking the time to come on and talk about all the epicness that was the Stampede of Speed at the Texas Motorplex.
How are you guys doing tonight?
Great.
Man, it was a big 10 days of Stampede of Speed. So where do you guys want me to start? We can do country concert. We can do Scott Palmer Nitro sideshow. We can do top dragster, top sportsman, fan fest, champions dinner. But really, that 3 days of the Texas Fall Nationals was just a monster event for the NHRA. I think it was a real turning point for the track. So many track records set, national event records, points, implications, history with Eric Enders. I mean, it was, the weather makes you look like a genius, but I felt like that event was really a highlight of the season so far and sets up the countdown for these last two races to be pretty exciting.
It already was exciting, and it just ramped it up for sure. What we got there in the Fall Nationals. Well, Elon, I'm just going to give it to you this way. Give us the top three from everything leading up to the Fall Nationals. I know there's so much, but give me the top three.
To me, it was the Saturday concert, 90s country music, drone show. So many good acts, so much going on at the track to just kind of set the tone for the weekend. Then I think it's the Champions Dinner is always one of my favorites to just see Erica Enders, her excitement of being there, and Hector Rana Jr., and then Justin Ashley and Ron Capps returning as defending champions. Packed house. We had over 200 people at dinner that night and so many former winners. The highlight was at the end of the night, Justin Ashley was talking with Hector Rana Jr. and Hector Rana Sr. just about having won the Texas Fall Nationals. And that's the beauty of the Champions Dinner, is to bring former winners together to celebrate their wins at the Fall Nationals at the Texas Motorplex. And then my third highlight was Fan Fest on Thursday night. We had almost 50 of the Camping World competitors, and then most of the JEGS All-Stars. So almost 100 drivers doing free autographs on Thursday night. It was really cool to just highlight the JEGS All-Stars, make them really feel special, because they are special. I mean, these are the best sportsman racers from across the country coming to the Motorplex to compete. Just seeing basically a whole city block and a half of drivers doing autographs was really cool. And then that was, the precursor to the race starting. So those were the three pre-event highlights for me before we even got into the race. And thousands of people in downtown Waxahachie for the cattle drive on Friday to open it up. And it just really just got better every day as we got closer to the Texas Fall Nationals.
And it looked like a great event, watching from home. And, I got to see, some of the race I was in Bakersfield covering. And obviously we talked about, the records and, the historical moments and, the big time run, side-by-side racing. You got, explosions, crashes, but, one thing I kind of want to start off with, is in Top Fuel Eliminator, and it's, your regular season champion, Justin Ashley. Unfortunately, another first round loss, kind of hurts him in the points. Where do you think his championship hopes are now with 2 races left to go?
I think he has to win the Nevada Nationals. Okay. I think that's where he's 100 points out. There's the 3 people in front of him are separated by 14 points. So he's theoretically chasing one person as far as the points go. But if you don't win the Las Vegas, Nevada Nationals, to get within, if you can get it to 89 points or less, get it to 3 rounds going into Pomona, then you still have a pretty good chance of controlling your own destiny. But really that's going to be, you have to win the Nevada Nationals if you're Justin Ashley to have a realistic shot. I'm not saying if you're runner-up, you don't have a chance, but you're going to have a lot of things happen in your favor, even if some of the other drivers go out early. But you're looking at, Leah Pruitt surging. Doug Collette has also kind of fallen off a little bit at the countdown. Steve Torrance, he's just been so consistent all year. He just you just sometimes forget about him, which is crazy to talk about a 4-time champion. But it's been Justin Ashley all regular season. The playoffs started, and it was all Doug Collette. Leah Pruitt, has gotten hot the last couple races. But Steve Torrance is just hanging around, and that's a dangerous driver to have just hanging around. I mean, that's a guy that races so well with a chip on his shoulder. He's got a quality team. And really all 4 of those teams are quality teams. You're looking at teams stacked from 1 to 12 in the countdown that are really good teams that just not every, unfortunately 16 cars qualify, 8 of them lose in the first round. And that's just the nature of our sport. And you just want to try to not be one of those teams. But sometimes it's just you hit a bad stretch. You want to kind of peak at the right time. And I know a lot of people have hot sports opinions about the countdown and how much your regular season matters going into the playoffs. But, I mean, let's look at the baseball analogy. The Texas Rangers right now, undefeated in the playoffs. They were okay in the regular season. They completely grenaded down the stretch, and then they started to get hot in the playoffs and are 2 wins away from going to the World Series. That's just the nature of playoffs. That's why sports are so awesome, is you just don't know what's going to happen until it happens.
And that's what I love for drag racing is like, postseason drag racing is totally different than regular season drag
Yeah.
racing. It's not the same. The intensity ratchets it up. It's more competitive. And I love that. And just one more thing on the Justin Ashley thing. I don't want to linger on it too much, but I just want to ask, because they had such a great regular season, what's kind of like the morale of the team right now heading into Vegas and after that first round loss?
It's still really high. I mean, they are frustrated, I think, but they are just looking at it as an opportunity to, hey, we know what we need to do. We have the team that can do it. We have the leadership that can do it. We have the parts. Things just need to kind of go our way in the first round. And it's been a wide range of first round situations. Qualifying has gone pretty well for them. It's just those things just kind of come up, and there's no doom and gloom. This is where Justin's strength as a driver and team owner really comes into their benefit, in that they don't get really, really high. They don't get really, really low. This is business. They are focused on the task at hand, and they understand that they've dug themselves a little bit of a hole, but they are very competitive, very focused. I think the mindset is they are going to approach the Vegas Nationals as we've got 4 qualifying runs. Let's see how many little bitty points we can pick up. And then let's put our best effort forward on Sunday and race day.
Well, Elon, I know we can talk about Countdown. I know we can talk about the spectacular events of the Stampede of Speed, but I want the T. I want the 411. I want the lowdown.
Hit me.
You're a man that your phone is always hot at the Texas Motorplex during an event like the Stampede of Speed or the Fall Nationals. What story can you give us as an inside story of media and handling PR and relations and everything going on that was funny, chaotic, strange, anything of that during the Stampede of Speed?
Well, I would say that there's a couple things. The one on the competition side that really kind of popped up was in the FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown category, the rule change right after St. Louis with the Dodge Drag Packs impacted that class, impacted that category dramatically, in that the pulley change forced some teams to not be able to come to the race. Definitely, they were able to test on Wednesday, definitely set some teams back. And then the Chevys dominate on Sunday, and they make a rule change for the Chevys. So that was, there was quite a bit of conversation about what's going on in the FlexJet Factory Stock Showdown class on the competition side. I think on the funny, not necessarily funny, but the top end is always chaotic. It's always fun, but we do cowboy hats for the winners. So we want to have them branded, and that's, a little inside baseball. Obviously, Camping World's been a great partner. They pay a lot of money to be the series sponsor. You kind of have, want to have the drivers get out of the car, put a Camping World hat on. We would like them to put on a cowboy hat. So we have branded cowboy hats at the top end, but we have to have 8 of them at the ready. So one of the tasks that I did on Sunday was to get every Camping World driver's hat size during opening ceremonies, or get close to it. So then as the day went on, I'm scratching off drivers, trying to get down to the final 8 to see how many hats we needed to have at the top end, so you could have hats ready when they get out, and give them branded cowboy hats for the photos. Because that's really what you want, is we want people to be able to see a photo from the Texas Fall Nationals, from the top end, from the starting line, opening ceremonies, and be able to immediately tell this was someone that won the Texas Fall Nationals. You can't really do that for a lot of other events. The top end pretty much looks the same. It's inflatables, it's the stage, but we, Christy, Meyer Johnson, and Barry Johnson, and the entire Motorplex team have put a concerted effort into making sure our event has a signature brand look. So there was that. There was also, we had a lot of drivers coming into the Champions Club to do Q&As. Those are always exciting and interesting. Caps was very funny during his Q&A of just talking about what it's like to win and the Motorplex. We gave Matt Hagan a small hat at the top end, so some of the early photos look a little funny because he's wearing a hat that's a little bit too small. But we immediately corrected that because we had a backup hat up there. So those, I think the whole process, particularly for me, dealing with the track, dealing with teams, was just a lot of fun. I love the excitement as you can be with all these things going on. I love the fact that I have a minute-by-minute schedule of the day, and it's just packed full of, hey, these drivers are doing this. This is part of the race. We hosted over 200 folks from A Kid Again, the charity that Coletta Racing's done quite a bit with. The NHRA's done quite a bit with his families are dealing with critical illness children. We had them at the track on Saturday. It was cool to see all the specialty cars, Buddy Hall running the Down Syndrome Foundation of North Texas car, so many of the breast cancer awareness cars. There was so much going on that it was really exciting to see an event like that I've been to a lot of motorsports events, a lot of non-racing events, to see this event really kind of make that step of truly being a major motorsports event on par with, I feel like, a Daytona 500, an Indy 500, a major event that's taking our sport to the next level. And it's been a true partnership between the track, between the NHRA, and also with the drivers. We really asked them to do a lot to promote the race on social media, to be involved, to attend the press conferences, to do the fan fests. And it makes a huge difference when you can get their buy-in, because the NHRA really is a triangle. It's a tent with three poles. It's the sanctioning body, it's the team owners, and it's the tracks. And we are really working to make it all beneficial for all three of those parties to make this a major, major event that we can get people to come in and spend days and days enjoying racing, concerts, fan events, and just have a good time.
And like I was telling Lee, when I was watching Friday night, with everything that went on, from the, inducting Antron Brown into the, the Hall of Fame, and, the motorcycle riders on the return road, the drone show, the music, everything. It felt like I was at a real, like, obviously drag racing is a real sporting event.
Right, I know.
It felt like I was at an actual basketball, baseball, football game, right? And it was amazing. And I'm like, man, other tracks should follow suit and kind of make this norm. And me and Lee had this discussion, other people, the thought of, hey, the Friday Night Live deal, how about we try to see how it does on a Saturday night in Dallas? Obviously, with high school football on a Friday night, kind of bring that atmosphere to the Saturday night if we could. Have you guys ever thought about that or anything like that at all?
We have, and again, it's, you want to make everybody happy, but that Friday night kind of stands alone because you still have two qualifying sessions on Saturday. I think if it was on Saturday night, it would be tricky with maybe some guys that weren't qualified trying to get ready for Sunday. But that's not out of the question. We are constantly evaluating how to make that event better. So the other thing on Saturday night, Darren, is we're very sensitive to getting the teams out of there a little bit earlier. We know the services are a little bit longer. So we don't want to potentially keep a team there until 10 or 11 o'clock when they have to turn around and come back on Sunday morning. So there's a little bit of give and take there. We are working on tightening the show up and trying to probably go to about 2.5 hours between qualifying sessions to just make that show even more impactful for fans when they come out, where it's just constant action. And I'll tell you what, it takes so much coordination between the track and the NHRA and the drivers. We're moving stage elements on and off, the starting line, banners, the fire bombs. We're probably going to add more pyro, and then being able to go from the end of qualifying right into Laney, who's our kind of trackside entertainer, to jet cars, to the drone show, which was a new element for us, which I think we'll bring back. Those are things you see at major events, and that's an investment from the track. The NHRA has a hand in that, but we are constantly going to other events, looking at things that work, and then trying to bring them into our sport to give fans that ultimate experience and try to have people walk away with A, I got a great value for my dollar. B, I had a lot of fun. And C, I want to come back and bring more people. That's our goal with every national event.
Well, Elon, the Texas Motorplex did it again. I don't know how you and that team, that group, are able to ramp it up each Stampede of speed, but that was the case. It ramped up, and it was even better this year. And look, I know the weather plays into that.
Sure.
And if we had different conditions, we probably would have had a different event. But take the weather away and all of the dressing and fixings,
Right.
if you will,
Yes.
around the product on the track, it was a step up and a ramp up. Now, I do want to advocate, though, if I may.
Of course.
We had 2 world champions in alcohol
Yes.
crowned at this event. Maybe at the champions dinner, an official drink of Doug Gordon's choice and Julie Nataas' choice. I mean, I'm just saying, maybe.
I wouldn't rule that out. I mean, the champions dinner is definitely something that we could, look at. I think we could, revisit. It's definitely worth a conversation. I will say we can take that under advisement, because that's the one thing about the champions dinners. This is the 3rd year we've done it. We want to continue to make it special for the former winners. So I think recognizing significant events that happen at the Fall Nationals could be in play. I've kicked around the idea with some people of, there's people that won the Fall Nationals before we started doing cowboy hats. Is there a way to recognize them on the 20th anniversary or 10th anniversary of them winning with a cowboy hat? Are there opportunities to recognize achievements as far as championship runs during the events? I think that's a possibility. So, Lee, I will say that having, Julie and Doug, Julie basically walked away with everything at the Texas Fall Nationals. JEGS All-Star win, event win, world championship. That's a great event for anyone. I think, Doug's, winning the world championship. And it's so funny to see that, not funny, it's just so great to see that when that realization sets in that, oh my gosh, hey, you could have somebody win a world championship today. Those things, some are kind of planned, some kind of sneak up on you just because of circumstances. And the NHRA's ability to kind of make that a special moment for everybody is really a tip of the cap to them, based on their ability to recognize that. And we had so much going on that, in a normal event, they probably would have gotten a lot more attention. But when that happens, and then right on the heels of that, Erica becomes the winningest woman in NHRA history. You have Tony Stewart drivers going to the points lead back-to-back, and the first Tony Stewart Racing double up. Plus you have Gage Herrera continuing to just, run roughshod over Pro Stock Motorcycle. It was just a cavalcade of success and storylines that really was unmatched in recent memory at an NHRA national event, and particularly in the countdown.
And like I was telling Lee earlier, I was in Bakersfield covering the Wally Parks NHRA Nostalgia Nationals, but when we were in a bungalow, we call it, the media center, the bungalow that we were in. We were watching the race, in there, and me and a couple of photographers, and you just felt the intensity, like the drama, just from
Good.
just watching, like it was huge. I just want to get your perspective on it, because I mean, when John Force smoked the tires in the final, there was an audible gasp in the room. Everybody was like, but it just felt big. Sun setting, because noon starts, you finish a little later. Yep. Like it just felt big. It just felt like a huge event. Yeah,
the whole day, and we start at noon to truly give people more of an opportunity to get to the track. And I think you saw that if you're watching on NHRA TV, that the stands were pretty full for opening ceremonies, which is what you want. And then first round and second round, it was packed. And then as the racing's going on, there were so many people pulling for John Force. I mean, John has made it very clear he is not going to, not that he's ever going to retire, but one of the few things left on his bucket list is he wants to win the Fall Nationals after his accident. The 2000 has not won since 2007 with the big crash. He wants to conquer the Motorplex one last time. He's already won the race 6 times. He wants that 7th win. And I really thought that the magic was going to happen on this past Sunday. I thought this is, after the explosion in the semifinals, I knew, it just seems like so many times guys have those critical moments, and teams like that, like Force, Caps, Torrance, they get the magic to come back, get their cars together, and then go on to win the race. But it just wasn't meant to be for him. It was Hagan's day. You could just tell the intensity throughout the day just kept building, especially as you started seeing Steve and Leah continue to win and reel in Doug Coletta. And then you could see that their final round was going to be for the points lead. And that, the intensity on that race, Leah winning on a hole shot over Steve. He's a fiery competitor. I'm sure that is going to sit with him for 2 weeks and refocus his intensity. Pro stock, Erica, extended her lead a little bit. And again, I think that Elite Motorsports KB Titan Racing battle is something that probably doesn't get as much attention as it should. But yeah, just Darren, you're right. At the race in the staging lanes, there was not a lot of frivolity pretty much after the second round. I mean, there are guys, kind of usual, kind of focused, but it was guys were getting in their cars, focused. They were being pulled up, and there was not a lot of yucking it up at all throughout the day once we got past the quarterfinals, because people knew there were so many people in the stands. The intensity was so high. They knew it was on the line, whether it's getting that cowboy hat or getting a points lead or just, trying to stay in the countdown championship hunt. It was pretty impressive to be a part of.
Texas, the Fall Nationals. It broke a lot of people's brackets.
Hey, man, don't sleep on guys, Dave Richards, Terry Haddock. I mean, those guys, that's what's so great about Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, is it really accentuates that for hundreds of people. And we had a record, we're well over 1,000 people that have signed up. We're getting hundreds and hundreds every race filling out brackets. I want to encourage people to continue to fill out the brackets. We had 5 different winners for the Texas Fall Nationals from all over the country. We had a change at the overall countdown position. There's a new leader in that. So that just adds another element of interest in our sport. And it was great. The Motorplex got behind it. They had their own internal contest amongst their team members. We had A-frames around promoting signing up. It had QR codes in the suites, in the Champions Club. And, we've had great track support from Maple Grove. The Koretsky's got behind it. At St. Louis, they're doing social media posts, and we're in the Budweiser Pavilion. It's an exciting time. I'm talking to the guys at Las Vegas about doing something. The groundswell, it's continuing to build. We're taking fan feedback. We've made some improvements already, but in the off season, we're going to continue to make it a little bit better. I'll be talking to hopefully some potential advertisers at SEMA, for sure at PRI, just trying to figure out the best way to continue to make it fun for fans to play for free and then have this vested interest in the sport. And I think that's what we're seeing. It's by design. I want everybody to fill out all 4 categories. I feel like that, you may not know anything about Pro Stock Motorcycle, or you may not know anything about Top Fuel, but just kind of becoming familiar with the players and the riders, I think just makes the sport better. I think it's a perfect add-on component to NHRA TV. I would love to, sort out a way to, for some kind of partnership with the NHRA, basically because that's the best way to watch, is you can watch NHRA TV live, and you can just watch your bracket either go great or just implode by the first round when Terry Haddock beats Robert Height. And we get the stats, and we share those on our social media about who people think are going to win. And going into the final, about 35% of the people thought Steve Torrance was going to win the race, and only like 3% thought Leah. So when you see that, even as well as she was running, I think that's a great microcosm of where confidence points are and how people ebb and flow on who they think is going to win the race. And that's just a great nugget to talk about. And it's been really cool. It's nice. We had people coming up to us at the Fan Fest asking about merchandise and stickers, and we gave out stickers. Martin Rodak from Rodak Coffee, he's a big player. He actually has some signage in his coffee shop in Fort Worth. Teams are running the logos on their race cars, which I think is, it's really cool to just kind of see that and have people recognizing, hey, this is really fun. I'm doing it with my family. It's making the sport a lot more interesting. And I just want to kind of keep the momentum going for these last two races and then work in the off season on making it even better going forward. So that's the biggest thing. I'm just glad more people are playing every race and are continuing to have a positive experience. So I can just encourage people to sign up at dragracebonanza.com and just tell your friends and engage with our social media people. Drivers are engaging. Bob Tasca III has been engaging with fans about how they're, picking him and how he's doing. And that's another guy you're talking about highlights. Bob Tasca on Friday night was a highlight for me. Just the monster runs, seeing him win the big money. It's very cool to have a guy that's so invested in Ford, have all these Ford records, to be the quickest and fastest Ford Mustang funny car driver ever. And that's a cool thing that the Motorplex can say they helped contribute to. So yeah, Drag Race Bracket Bonanza, Lee. I know a lot of guys are playing, and I'm terrible at it. That's the thing that's so funny is I swing between picking with my head and my heart in a lot of categories. I have clients that, you always want to continue to throw as much positive juju the way of your clients, but then you're also kind of thinking, man, I go, Bob, luckily in funny car, I don't have any funny car clients. So I can really, that's the one class that I can really kind of vote or, pick with my head. And I'm still not really good at it because you get bracket busters like Dave Richards and Terry Haddock, so it's been a great endeavor for me. And I just want to see it kind of continue to grow and more people to get behind it.
Yes, and looking at the Bracket Bonanza Facebook page, which if you're not following, you definitely need to be doing so. Pro Stock Motorcycle, Gage Herrera, 78.2% picked. Imagine that.
He is. I liken him to Duke in the heyday with college basketball, where you could just basically, there was that time where like the Leitner era and the Grant Hill and all this, Bobby Hurley, that you could just pencil them into the Final Four, and it didn't matter if they, you just knew that's where Gage Herrera is at. The only way I feel like he's going to get beaten is he's going to beat himself, and that happened earlier in the year. And the thing that's impressive about him is he has learned from his previous mistakes, and now he I was talking to Eddie Craywick at the top end, and he's like, I'm having a complete John Force moment where he has basically hired his own assassin. That's what Force did with Tony Pedregon. And Eddie's like, man, I'd be in championship contention right now. This championship would be mine. They'd be, but now I got this guy over here. And the thing that's so cool about that is Eddie, there's no ill will there. There's like no frustration. He is so happy for Gage, for his team, to see the success he's having. Obviously, it benefits Vance and Hines, but just to see this guy come on the scene full time and really make the class that much better. And then also to see him helping Kelly Klontz and to see, the competitiveness between that group and Matt and Andrew Smith. And, scary moment with Chase Van Zandt. Hopefully he's going to be recover pretty well. He was at the track with his knee bandaged up. But the future is so bright in that category. I think, every class has got so much positivity on the horizon for it. It's just going to be exciting the next couple of years. And I'm glad Bracket Bonanza can kind of have a little bit of hand in that of help raising the awareness for all 4 classes to just get people interested and excited in it.
Well, I mean, first off, before I say anything, we do not mention the mid-90s Duke Blue Devils whatsoever on the show. That team is hated here in California. We do not like the Duke Blue Devils. Fab Five, though. Fab Five all the time.
Okay, well, first of all, I would agree with that. I only use that as an example. I never picked, they made that I Hate Christian Leitner movie, and that was where I was at. I mean, to me, the Fab Five, baggy shorts, Chris Webber, Jalen Rose, Jimmy King, all those guys. That was, to me, the coolest era of college basketball was those guys, the running rebels. But yeah, so I'm with you, Darren. That was purely for example sakes. Do not let me have too many University of North Carolina friends that I'm much more closer with than Duke friends. But I actually made the mistake one time. I was working with a guy who was a UNC graduate, and it was about that time, and I was like, hey, so if UNC gets knocked out of the playoffs, do you guys just start rooting for Duke? And the look on his face, I did it kind of half joking. The look on his face was like, no.
No.
And then he just walked off. Like I had completely insulted every fiber of his being. Yeah. So I get so that's good stuff. But yeah, so I've got some great ideas for when Drag Race Bracket Bonanza starts in 2024 to obviously be right around the Gator Nationals. The month of March has the big college basketball tournament. So I've got some great ideas to kind of kick off with some of the drivers that will hopefully keep me out of litigation. Because you can't really say, the well-known name for what that basketball tournament is called. They kind of rule that with, so a lot of people, this is just like XYZ, Drag Racing Bonanza. And I was like, well, you can say that, but, I can't make that comparison. So I talk about the college basketball tournament in the spring just to, cover all my bases.
Well, Elon, look, thank you for the work you've been putting in on it. Drag racing, NHRA drag racing in particular, definitely needed something like this, and I know you're going to keep working on it. It's going to continue to grow and be big, and before long, it is going to be the talk of the stands. And I hope I see people looking at their bracket at the end of a round, and they're in the stands, and
yes,
money is transferring back and forth just like they do anyway on who's had the better round and things of that nature. It's certainly something I hope we see.
I'll tell you what I love is in our community, Lee and Darren, that we're in with all the people that we know that are kind of been involved with it, is when a bracket is busted and I get texts from people that are like, I hate you so much, Elon, because before this I would have just been like, oh man, that's kind of, Terry Haddock beat Robert Hite, but I get now my day is ruined because my bracket is busted. There's this next level of frustration of just now they have I invested, the 5 or 10 minutes on Saturday night or first thing Sunday morning to fill out my bracket. And now they're just like, now what am I even doing here? Or you get the benefit of the guy that'll text me and be like, hey man, if Antron wins this final, I'm winning Top Fuel. And they're now on the edge of their seat watching, then they are in it to win it. And that's just the cool part about these fantasy games. And that's what I always, a lot of people ask about betting and this, that, and that. I'm going to do everything in my power to continue to make it free, to continue to make it family friendly, because I want, kids to play. I want families to play. I want you to be able to be comfortable sharing it with your friends. And we're going to make the data, I shouldn't say data, I should say stats. We don't need access to the NHRA data. We don't plug into the ETs. This is just a head-to-head round. It's all manual. So that's, it's a very important part of what, NHRA is trying to do with gambling and betting. What we're doing is so different. it's exciting to see this kind of grow for our sport and to get people excited. And I just want more people to, to participate and get involved. Some things we're looking at, we get questions, but hey, can I make my own group? I'd like to have my own group. And that's something we're looking at building out over the off season. So you can have your own, 10, 15 people, 20 people playing in your own universe and then playing in the whole Drag Race Bracket Bonanza universe. But by all means, we are making some changes. We want to make changes as a fan. We want to make it more easier to use. When you're signing up, there's probably an app on the horizon. So those are all things we hear the comments, but this is just such a new thing for us that this 7 races was kind of a soft opening, but we'll get to these next 2 races, try to make it as good as possible. We'll have our overall winner and runner-up most likely when we crown that champion. I've got a sweet championship belt for them that will get signed by all the actually, I have it right here. I'll flip it out for you guys. See which one this is real quick. Yeah, so it's champ belt. Can you guys see that? So, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
So we'll get this signed by all 4 of the Camping World champions. And then probably like to have the winner on maybe Power Hour over the off season to just talk about their road to victory of the Drag Race Bracket Bonanza. And we had winners from all over the country too. That's what really I think is cool, is because I get a report, and we just mailed out all the Texas Fall Nationals plaques today, but they went to California, New Jersey, Illinois, Florida, and I think Tennessee. But we've had 5 Drag Race Bracket Bonanza events. We had U.S. Nationals, and then we did the 6 races for the countdown. So we're 4 in, and there's 25 potential winners. We've had 24 different winners from all over the country. And we've had people playing from all 50 states, Europe, Japan, and Australia.
Spectacular.
So cool. Yeah, it's been good stuff. So thank you guys very much for giving me a chance to chat it up. But it's just been a really cool little deal. So I'd love to get as many people playing as possible.
Well, I know Darren cannot wait for the group feature because he was heading up a fantasy league and just got eviscerated on management.
Yeah, I did.
So he's looking forward to it.
They said I rigged it, which I didn't. So
I don't think you rigged it. Others thought it was rigged, but a bracket.
How is it rigged?
Bracket Bonanza system would help alleviate such rigging.
How is it rigged when the person who makes it doesn't win?
Anything I can do to help Darren out, I want to do. That's just one of my tenets I live by is if I can make Lee's life better, if I can make Darren's life better, if I can make Bobby's life better, I will do that. That is, that's a tenet of mine. So
I appreciate that, Elon. I appreciate that.
Thank you, Elon. Hey, thank you. We always want to say thank you to your help with this show itself. You're back behind the scenes booking, and we definitely appreciate that and allow us to have this platform and chat to so many great personalities in drag racing, such as yourself. Thank you for your time, Elon.
I appreciate you guys. You guys have a good night.
Competition Products, your source for hardcore engine parts for street, strip, and oval track. Our free catalog is packed with hundreds of product lines from the best-known manufacturers in the performance industry. Lowest prices guaranteed. Free shipping and handling on all orders over $149 in the continental U.S.
Need expert advice? Our knowledgeable staff is just a phone call away.
Competition Products, race parts sold by racers since 1970.
Well, great to have Julie Nataas on. 2023 Top Alcohol Dragster Lucas Oil World Champion. Congratulations to her on all the achievements this year, and especially from the Texas Motorplex's Fall Nationals. Great to have Elon Werner on and to discuss with us some of the inside matters with the Stampede of Speed and what a great work he is doing with Drag Racing Bracket Bonanza. It is a growing, spectacular thing. I think our own Mighty Mac that we interact with, and the man who has the YouTube channel that is covering a lot of great drag racing stories and news, he won Pro Stock Motorcycle, if I remember correctly.
Did he? You know what I'm most amazed about?
He'll be getting the plaque.
You know what I'm most amazed about?
That we've got through the show and we've been able to say Wally Park's NHRA Nostalgia Nationals.
That too, but also we haven't had our get canceled moment of the show yet.
Here it comes.
I'm surprised Julie Nataas knows what Dre's is. I like that. That's cool.
I found out she doesn't know what a hack is, though.
Yeah. For anybody who knows what Dre's is, look it up. It's Vegas. A lot of celebrities roll through there. You know, it's pretty cool spot.
Thank you, Darren. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
That's not really a cancel moment though. I gotta pick it up a little bit. What can I
Not
do
a
to
cancel
get
moment. It's not a cancel moment. It is a research moment that someone will probably be like, "Hey, why'd you mention that? My kid went and saw this online."
Hey, I mean, you know, we can grow up sometime.
right. Grow up sometime. That is right. Oh my goodness. Yes.
Dave, I think it's Dreas. I think how you spell it. And Drag Racing Mayhem is 1 R, not 2 R's. All right, get my name right. All right, dang.
Darren.
Yeah, put some respect on my name.
Respect on your name.
Yeah. See, Scott Purley said it right. He spelled it right. Thank you, Scott. I appreciate that.
Yeah. Thank you, Scott. Thank you. And by the way, Scott, thank you. You have often thrown out super chats and even super. I didn't know you could like super comment now on YouTube, but you did that even on my channel with one of the alcohol reports. Appreciate that, Scott. Thank you. You know, folks, let me put it this way. I am closer and closer to making a living in motorsports, but it's still not a lot. And Darren, the same way. You know, Darren, he comes on this show after working hard in the day. I know he might not look like it, but he puts a lot of work in the family operation, and he's keeping those good looks. But, you know, you look at those hands, they have some working hands. And, you know, I know a lot of folks see me travel around the country and they think it's all fun and games, and I am enjoying it. I'm having a blast, but it's work. And it is a lot of fun, but it is work. And yes, I might be a great management of my time and miles, but it doesn't mean that there is a lot in the pocket. So every little bit helps. And someone like Scott throwing out some super chats, throwing out some super comments, we definitely appreciate it.
Oh, for sure. Thank you, Scott. It is much appreciated. Thank you. And then also just for tuning in every week. Like it's so cool. Like awesome. It really is.
Yes, thank you to those of you that tune in regularly. I think of Andrew, Dave W., Drag Racing Mayhem. Well, Drag Racing Mayhem watches everything. Like I'd pop in and to watch Joe Costello, and there he is. I pop in to watch Drag Illustrated, and there he is. He's watching everything. I'm concerned that Drag Racing Mayhem might have a problem.
I'm just about to ask, do you watch anything else, bro?
Right.
Like, come on. Like, there's other stuff in the world, man. Just saying.
Right. There is other stuff.
I'm kidding.
But I will say,
there's nothing cooler than drag racing.
With the great weekend that drag racing had, I mean, we didn't even really get to mention Duck Productions and their great event down there at South Georgia Motorsports Park. They were drag racing as well. So you had drag racing across the country, East Coast, the central part of the country, and the West Coast, from California, Texas to Georgia. And there were many other races happening as well, even though as the racing seasons for many tracks have come to a close, especially if they're on the north side of our country. They have begun closing down their operations for the off season. But drag racing, what a spectacular sport we're able to talk about and discuss and laugh over and have anxiety over with such great programs that we're able to experience. So again, thank you even to Bobby Bennett for sure for having such a platform and being able to talk to these drivers, interview them, and help be a part of building brands and careers. You know, I go to the track and you experience this, Darren, but people walk up to me and they're like, hey, you're a Monday Morning Racer, and they want a picture with me. I think of Steven. Good to chat with you, Steven. And I find that fascinating. I find that interesting that people want a photo with me. But, you know, they do on occasion, and more than glad to do that. More than glad to talk, too. Now, I may tell you If you catch me and I'm like beelining somewhere, find me later. I may tell you that, but I definitely want to talk to anyone and everybody because for a long time, I was that guy wanting to talk to somebody and might not have got to talk to somebody, might not have got behind the rope. So feel free, stop anytime. We'll chat.
No, and I echo all those sentiments, man. It was really cool out in Bakersfield. How a lot of people come up and say, "Hey, I see you on Competition Plus Power Hour. I see you with Kings of the Sport and everything else you do." And like you said, they want pictures and it was talk to you. It was very, very humbling, experience. And it's really cool. It's like, I tell everybody, I'm just a fan that loves drag racing who gets to be on this platform. That's all I am, And obviously I am a journalist. I say I play journalist, but no, I take this stuff seriously. But I'm just little old me. So when somebody comes up and wants a picture, I'm like, oh, it's pretty cool. It's something to get used to though. It's like, I'm not a driver or nothing, so but it's a cool deal. And it's awesome that people appreciate your hard work. It is.
It is. I agree. And, I jokingly went up to Julie after her championship wins, stated, "Hey, you got time for this media hack to get an interview?" And I say hack jokingly, but I even myself, I don't count myself as a professional as many others. There are many in this game. They have got professional training to their credit, whether it's from some school or university. And, I don't have that, but I do believe I put in professional effort at least. And I think that can definitely be recognized. And it is nice when people do recognize your hard work.
Well, we know the real reason why you walked up to Julie, but you can make it seem like it was a championship or not. But we know the real reason, so you gotta play. It's cool.
You held it long. You held it for a while. I will give it to you. That.
Were you jealous?
Good,
Let's be honest. Were you jealous? Were you jealous earlier? Just be honest. Were you jealous a little bit?
No.
Just a little bit. It's okay if you were. It's okay. It's okay. Were you just like boiling inside?
No.
Just asking. Exactly.
Hey.
Your mom even laughed. She knows.
Yes, Mom. Yes. Mom's even laughing. Oh, good to see you. Good for you to chime in, Mom.
He says no, but just turn 5 shades redder. See, we all know. It's okay, bro. It's okay, man. We know what's up. It's okay.
Okay.
Just own it. At this point, just own it.
Dang.
Cut this part of the show out. Cut it out.
You'll have to cut it out. Right. Thanks, Darren. I appreciate it, man.
It's okay. You got it.
Appreciate it.
Madison Payne, I'm a big fan. All right, just saying. What's so funny?
Oh my goodness. This is the cut out moment, maybe not the cancel moment.
Yeah, exactly.
Dang.
Gotta have some fun sometime,
That you do. Darren.
Just end it already. Just end it.
I know we need to end it. I don't know how to end it at this point, though. Thanks. Appreciate it. We talk about hard work. We talk about appreciation. And then we go here. Great.
Yeah.
You held it to the end. I will give it to you, though. I will commend you. I'm surprised.
Hey, I mean, it's, it's 10:58 on the East Coast, Best time to do it.
Right. Best time to do it. Well, to each and every one of you out there, thank you for watching, even up to this point of hilarity in the Competition Plus Power Hour. And I will attempt to end it as professionally as I can, though I have that clown over there on the show with me at the moment. Thank you to our guests, Julie Nataas and Elon Werner, for their time here on the CompetitionPlus.com Power Hour. Anything else, Darren?
That's it.
Good. We're going to take a break. And that break will end the show now.